Welcome to the Positively Healthy Mom podcast, where positive parenting meets well-being. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Positively Healthy Mom. I'm your host, Laura Olinger, teen and parent well-being coach and founder of Positively Healthy Coaching. And today I'm excited to introduce you to my guest, James McLam. And James and I just recently made our acquaintance just yesterday. I got to be a guest on his awesome podcast. So now he's here today. So it's almost like we're continuing from where we left off in our conversation and getting to know each other. So James, can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you come from, and what is your passion in life?
Thank you very much, Laura, for re-extending or reciprocating the invitation to be on your podcast. We had a lot of fun yesterday, and I'm looking forward to today. I am James McLamb. I am the founder and CEO of an organization called Generation Youth, and our passion is to equip adults, specifically parents, teachers, and coaches who have a passion to see youth thrive with the tools and equipment they need to do that. We also want to empower the next generation to equip them with the tools they need to thrive too. So our programs are twofold. Most of it is focused towards the adults who are working with them, but we also really got started working with the younger generation as well, equipping them with those things. I was a teacher for a decade, then moved out of the classroom when my oldest daughter was born because my wife was a teacher as well, and we wanted to be able to have an income that could support ourselves in that. So I went to family businesses and was in that world for a while, but never lost my passion for working with youth. Continued to speak at conferences, camps, churches, wherever people would be willing to give me the opportunity, I went. And through that process, I was able to build the organization Generation Youth, originally called Generation Ziegler, which as we continue our conversation today, I can share a little bit about how that journey happened as well. So,
yeah. Well, this is fantastic, and I know you bring such a and I love also that you even have a degree from Clemson in is it youth leadership? Is that
youth development leadership was the master's degree that I have in.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love it when things that we bring to the audience are research backed, and it sounds like you just have all kind of the ducks in a row as far as the credentials, the real life experience, I'm sure even as a parent, bringing all these things to our audience today, which is where I want to get started, which is what are the three things that you think are the biggest challenges that our youth are facing today?
Well, how we came up with the three things that we identify that youth face is we asked them. We interviewed 2,500 young people from across the United States and England, and we asked them one simple question. What is the biggest issue, problem, obstacle, however we phrased it, that your generation faces? And then we just let them talk. And we just listed their answers down. I did most of the interviews. I had a partner who did a lot of them as well, but I did most of the interviews. They were conducted either one-on-one, a few in small groups, a very small sample size that we did virtually, like online, where we just sent out a survey and people filled in. But we just let them talk. Yeah. And most of the time, the young people would say several different things. But what we did when we got all these answers, or when we were about a third of the way through, we started seeing some themes, and we started categorizing them, and we realized they all fell into three different areas with a few outliners that were specific to that young person's situation. We interviewed some teenagers from an Indian reservation in the Dakotas, and their answers were very outside the others, but it was specific to their situation. But all three answers fell into one of three categories in this order of percentages. Now, again, a young person may have taught and said all three things. So that's why there are these three. But the number one issue that they struggle with, the one that they identify the most, is they struggle with their self-image. They doubt their identity. They feel like they're a failure. They don't know who they are, whose they are. They just struggle with this constant thing of who am I? What am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to be? And how do I make this happen? How do I form out who myself is? And they've got all these different things hitting them. Now, the answers that they gave us may be like, hey, social media makes me feel bad, or I feel like a failure all the time, or I can never live up to this, or I doubt myself. All of that fell into that self-image category. 85% of everybody we interviewed said something that would fall underneath that category. That was the number one. The second biggest one, the one where we had about 70 to 75%, was relationships. They struggle with relationships. Now, that's a big category.
Yeah.
It's a big category because it included how they interacted with their parents, how they interacted with adults, how they interacted with each other. We put in bullying in there, peer pressure in there. Maybe they just don't know how to react to people. And most of these interviews were pre-2020. And we know from the few that we did after 20 that number would be even higher because of the COVID lockdowns caused a lot of young people to their relationship skills to be even worse than they were beforehand. But they don't know how to react. They don't know how to connect with each other, or they struggle with this. We even had some that talked about, romantic relationships. I don't know, and I'm like, well, you're 14, just give it. Okay. Of course you have trouble with that. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, of course.
But, they identify that. The third one, the one that a little bit more than half identified as their problem, was their lack of finding their purpose and the ability to set goals to reach that purpose. So we categorize that one as kind of a goal setting. I don't know how to do what I want to do. I don't know how to reach my potential. I don't know how to find what my purpose is and do this. Maybe my purpose for a season, not necessarily my life purpose, but just for this season of my life or this year of my life. Or how do I set goals to do this? How do I make this my own goals? Or even how to dream. One of the most depressing parts of the interview was when we talked to folks that didn't even feel like they could dream to be better than their situation was right now. That they felt like their whole world was already decided for them and they had no agency, no choice in the matter.
Wow.
So the three biggest issues in the order again were self-image, relationships, and goal setting. Now, people think because we were connected at the time with the Zig Ziglar Corporation that we took those answers and stuck those into those categories, because Mr. Ziglar in the 60s identified his steps to success. And the first three steps to success in order were self-image, relationships, and goals.
Oh.
And then what I began to see is as I understood that these were these three major theme and issues, that they're perennial, they're eternal, these issues have been around forever.
Yeah.
Because during COVID, with lockdown and COVID, my youngest, who at the time was 10, she would get up in the morning at the same time for the first few weeks until she got used to I don't have to go to school. And we would watch morning television. And there was on a local station, they were showing episodes of a 50s sitcom called Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, yeah. Very
and what
familiar.
And what I realized is almost all of the episodes, if you don't know the premise of Leave It to Beaver, it's about two boys, a guy named Wally and his younger brother named Beaver, and them growing up. One's in elementary school, one's in middle, and it shows them all the way going into high school.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that almost every episode, the situation that was happening was them struggling with the issue of self-image, relationships, and goals. What am I going to do? How am I going to get into college? How do I hang out with this person? This person's bullying me. This person's having peer pressure. I feel like I'm a failure because I can't get on the basketball team. I don't know how to ask this girl out. All that. And I was like, these are eternal problems.
Yeah.
They just manifest themselves differently today. So those are the three big issues that we see youth struggling with as a result of what they tell us, not something that we sit down and just, threw up some things on a board.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that, and it makes so much sense, right? Like, because I'm in the industry, when you're saying that that's what you found, I'm like, yes, yeah, I completely can see that was the result of your research. So, next question is, what did you do with that information? What have you done because of those three answers?
Well, we did two things. The very
Okay.
first thing we did was we wanted to equip young people, specifically college students, with
Okay.
the skills and resources, the tools, the confidence, and the content that they would need to be able to be a difference maker for their generation. Maybe
Mhm.
go out and speak to their generation, or do some training, or be a leader in their generation. So we created what we called at the time the Ziegler Youth Certification, which built content around those three areas, trained the young people on that,
Mhm.
and then gave them some tools in which they could go out and do this. And we had about 400, I'm not, that was wrong, 300, a little over 300 that came through the program. Most of that programming was before 2020, with some bleeding into 21, so that they would be difference makers.
Mhm.
A lot of those kids now are approaching 30, or maybe some of them are in their 30. I think the youngest ones are now out of college, because it's been quite a while since we've actively worked with them. But a lot of them are teachers. We have several college professors. We have some ministers, um, some that are working in the business world, some that are lawyers. But during their time in college, or somewhere around that, they were actively involved. Most of them were actively involved in trying to impact their generation, to help them, doing some of those activities. We actually have one who is who I think he's the White House reporter for MSNBC now. I just saw that he had gotten on with that. So they've done a lot of significant and great things. He's from Texas, incidentally. So that was the very first thing we did. We equipped it. And then I had a lot of these adults who wanted to come to the program and learn the same thing, but I wouldn't let them come. I didn't want a 45-year-old sitting next to a 19-year-old, and that
Yeah.
19-year-old be inhibited.
Yeah.
And that 19-year-old not give me everything that I was asking for in those 3 days.
Yeah.
Plus, I really didn't think the 45-year-old was going to understand it. The
Okay.
content was crazy.
Yeah.
The things, the activities we would teach them to do with others was, it was designed for a 20-year-old
Mm-hmm.
to do to a 14 or 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the way we designed it. So they might think it's silly. Oh, I'm not going to do this activity, or I'm not going to do that. I understand this. And so we just didn't let them come. But as a result of COVID, when the world kind of slowed down for a little while, we were able to do the second thing that we create to work, and that's our coaching certification, our
Yeah.
youth coaching certification,
Mm-hmm.
which we took those three. Not only do we train people, what is a coach, how do you coach, what skills do you need, what mindset do you need, those types of things, but we give them content that they can start their coaching career on. And we
Okay.
say, look, you don't have to worry about whether this content works. It's proven. We've got it work. You can start your career doing this. And as you grow and develop your skills as a coach, then you can migrate to maybe your own. So
Mm-hmm.
we took those three issues and we added, well, you'll appreciate this, we added mindset as the first one, because we wanted to help them work with a youth about its mindset, creating them to have a growth mindset, get out of that fixed mentality, see the possibilities before we started talking to them about self-image, relationships,
Okay.
and goals. And so we created that as our second major product that we have, that we teach coaches to use. And that's what we've been doing since 21. We're still going to do the youth program again. We just want to rechange it a little bit of things, update it. But it's been so much concentrated on training coaches, adding coach trainers as we've scaled it up. We've needed to add other people to teach potential coaches about how to be a part of this world. So that's the two major things that we've done as a result of that.
Okay. Well, that's so awesome. And I know I want to hear more about the journal, the journal, and how does it work?
Well, last spring, my wife went on a spring break school trip with my daughter, and I was at the house by myself for a whole week, nobody there. And I'd been asked by someone.
Except your dog. I saw that you have a dog.
Yeah, I do have a dog. It's the Basset Hound.
You and the dog are hanging out. Okay.
Yeah. And if you know anything about a Basset Hound, it's like being by yourself because they just sleep all the time.
Yeah.
But so I was at home by myself, and someone asked me, can you help my kid get started right in the school year? Is there something we can do to do this? This was a friend of mine. And so I started jotting down some notes about this. Here, a 30-day plan to help your student get right. And I thought, well, 30 days, I can do an introduction and then a conclusion. And then I got 28 days in the middle. That's 4 weeks, 4 things. Oh, I know what 4 things: mindset, self-image, relationships, and goals.
There we go.
And so we created a 30-day journal. Initially, it was just for freshmen. We created a 30-day journal that a student could use anytime during the year, not just really get started, but just say that they are 2 months in and they need a reset, or half the year is over with and they need to start again. They could buy this, and it guides them through 5-10 minutes a day of reading. And it starts with each chapter is a quote, a thought that is dealing with that particular week's theme, whether it be self-image or relationships or whatever. And then a teaching lesson, a part of it, and then a few prompts to get them thinking about the right things and talking about the right things. So we wrote the freshman one, and it went really well. Went quicker than I thought, quicker than any other books that I'd written. It just kind of flowed out very easily. So we said, look, we got one. Let's do the senior one. That should be the next most popular one. And we did that one, and I looked at them, and I gave them to some friends, and they were like, are you going to do the other two? I have a junior. And I was like, well, okay. So because you'd set the format and we're used to it, and we were in that mode, they were able to work out real quickly. So we were able to put the 4 journals together. We call it our Ignite series. Because it's that's the theme overall, the Ignite series. So there's 4 journals for that go along with our core teachings and supplement those. But it's something that a student can have, something they can put in their hands. And then when we got through with it, someone said, well, a parent, how can I help them? So we've made on our website some enhancements for each of the books that parents can get as well. That is like a guide that a parent can use, or a lesson plan if a teacher wanted to use it as a part of their classroom over the course of a season.
Sweet.
So there's some avenues to that. Plus, we decided that we would put, since there was a quote for each day, let's create some quote posters and put it in there as well, so they can get those and put those up and use them in whatever format they have. So we have some enhancement packages to go along with it. And we're learning more about how they're being used and how effective they are. So that'll change, and it'll grow, and it'll evolve to meet the needs of the audience that is using our books.
Wow, that's amazing. I love hearing about that. So my next thought is, being a busy mom with 4 teenagers, and we kind of go through life and we're kind of on almost autopilot in a way, right? Because we have our routines.
Yeah.
What would get a mom? I assume the mom is the primary purchaser of the journal or the Ignite series. Like, it could be a dad, but usually it's like the moms that are buying these things.
And you are right. You know your audience well.
I know my audience very well. Yes. And so what are the types of events or things that would take place that would get a mom to be like, I need a resource for this, or I need to buy this for my teenager? Like, what happens in order for them to have your content come in front of them?
It could be a number of different things. It may not even be an event that sparks them. It could be just them searching for something online, searching for them on Amazon. And we're trying to be most effective of making our product searchable in a way that people can find it. We do 2 events a year, which we call the Igniting the Next Generation Summits. And at those summits, we invite, there'll be 20 total presenters that'll present 10 to 15 minute nuggets of content that during the summer it's related to parents and teachers. During the winter, the messages are geared more towards teenagers. Anywhere, we tell folks anywhere where youth, anywhere from like age 12 on up into maybe college age as well. So that they can, and that's a free summit. They can just sign up for it and get all presentations during the week and view them. That might get some excitement because it might show them, open their eyes to some opportunities, maybe let them see the world in a different way about how youth is. Because as well as I do, parents a lot of times they just feel so alone in the journey, even though they're not, and there are people who want to come alongside them. Even if they are part of a group, a community, they still feel alone. And we want to expand that opportunity, expand their world, and give them as much resources they have so that they don't feel alone and they don't feel despair when things don't go wrong.
Right.
I mean, when things do go wrong.
I think I reversed it in my head. I knew where you were on that. Yes. And I love that because it's a great way, like whether it's the journal, which they can purchase, or the Ignite series, or what was the summit called? The
Igniting the Next Generation.
Yes. I like how that is accessible to anyone, because as a teen and parent coach myself, and the coaching industry is amazing. I can't imagine myself doing anything other than what I'm doing. I'm so incredibly passionate about it, and I wish I could coach every teenager in America. And one of the barriers often is cost. Like parents think, oh, that's expensive. Why would I pay for that? I don't know if that's worth it. And what's the benefit going to be? So I love just starting out with tools like this that are so accessible to people that then they can kind of get a taste, like, oh, wow, that journal was awesome for my teenager. And they're totally having a great year now because they did this work. And so that kind of like gives them, I think, the parent a little bit of more optimism and a little bit more hope and a little bit more certainty that, oh, things like this can impact my child in a positive way. And I can provide this, whether it's the low ticket item, the free item, or, the higher ticket item of private coaching. So yeah, this is amazing. So what would be kind of—
Well, before you do that, I do want to hit on something you just said.
Yeah.
That when parents look at a coaching and they come to someone who's a great coach like yourself, and they say, oh, that's a high ticket item. One of the things they need to put in perspective is how many parents are paying for a private trainer or coach for sports.
Yes.
We paid for my daughter. Now she to a swim team, private swim team, to compete year-round swimming. And if you never had that experience before, it is something. Yeah. And she did extremely well. She was an All-American in high school. She could have swam in college. She just chose that the time was over. But all that money that we spend in this, yes, it develops some good habits, some discipline, some things, but it doesn't move the needle in their life as much as investing in a coaching program could do with them. Because in a coaching program, you're developing a skill that they can use forever. You're developing a mindset that can help them in any situation. We had my son played baseball, and we had a trainer that worked with him for a while in baseball.
Yeah.
And we knew the odds of him using this long term in his life. He's 23 now, and he's not playing professional baseball.
Yeah.
But coaching, if we were outside and had spent this money investing in a life coach for him, he still would be using them skills. So even though it is an expense, compared to what you are willing to spend, so you can see Johnny and Shusey shoot the basketball better, hit the baseball better, run faster, cheer better, tumble better, swim better, whatever it is, this has much more life implications long-term than any of that. So I know there's those other things have tangible results that they can see immediately. Oh, his fastball's better. His, all this kind of stuff. These things, though, these are eternal qualities. You're investing in them in a way that you will never even know the the impact that you can have.
Right. I'm actually so delighted that you said that, because that's one of the biggest, I guess, frustrations that I have in my business is I do hear all about the private volleyball
Yeah.
and the national championships and the equestrian. I have lots of I'm in
Ooh,
Texas, so there's lots of into equestrian,
that's
and
expensive.
that is not cheap, let me tell you. And yet, but then when they're like, oh, how much are you? And they're like, oh, that's a lot. I'm like, and like, right, like I'm helping you solve the problem that you're having, which is your teenager, and it's they come to me for a variety of situations, but what isn't that worth like so much more to you? Like, I should be charging 3 times as much if I can help you
Yeah.
with this. So it's nice. I appreciate you just kind of like pulling in that contrast of other expenses. And I even once had someone talk to me about the concept of coaching and what the investment is and how much you're paying. And they're like, I know not everybody, drinks alcohol a week, but they're like, well, how much do you spend on a bottle of wine each week? Or how much do you spend on, your Starbucks? Or how much do you spend on, fill in the blank, our little luxury items that we, privileged people
Hmm.
have in America. And it's like you in a month could pay for, or 2 months of whatever that habit is, could pay for something that would change your whole family's life. So yeah, just it's the idea of putting it in perspective is like, this should be really worth that to you.
And there are a lot of adults who are small business owners, entrepreneurs, maybe working in the corporate world, who now are paying 3, 4, 5 times the amount of money to be coached on what they could have been coached as a 16 and 17-year-old and learn those habits and been installing those habits over a lifetime, instead of coming back at age 50 and saying, hey, I need a coach to help me get to the next level.
Yeah.
And in reality, they're not being taught too much different concepts than what you're teaching them as a teenager.
That is such a good point. And we are going to wrap up soon, but I'm enjoying this conversation. I have a client who is in college, and I just love getting on sessions with him because he's been working with me on and off for a couple of years. And so now he's so used to what the questions are going to be like that I'm going to ask him, that he starts to answer the questions before I even ask them. And to me, that's such a sign of success, because that means he's learned the skills, he's learned the mindset shift, he's learned how to adjust his thinking. And so he's now able to do it on his own. We're just still working on a few other things right now, but I love how like the primary stuff that we started with, he is so self-sufficient in those areas that I am like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of, what he's done and what he's absorbed and how he's able to really carry that into his college career. And then I know it's just going to continue from there.
Yeah, there's a big jump in the amount of people who are seeking coaches as adults, and there's life coaches, business coaches, and there's a big jump in the amount of people who are going into that industry being life coaches, business coaches. Just think if we had that emphasis on them as young people, as those who are in high school, later high school, into college. If we got them then when they would be so much farther down the line, so much farther down. So yeah.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Okay. So James, how can people find your website, find the journal, find the summit, all those things?
Well, if you go to our website, which is generation-youth.com, so it's dash, no, not the word dash, generation-youth.com, you'll find all of our links there, all of our social links there, a link to our podcast, link to the summit as well. The summit is updated pretty periodically, so you'll be able to see what the new one is going to be. I think if you click on it now, it'll take you to the summit page that has the registration for the summer one, the winter one that's coming up. The registration will be out in about middle of November, I believe is correct, because we got to finalize some things on that. So we got those things there. They can find the books and resources there. It is very easy to find them on Amazon as well. All 4 books. There's a few more books that we have, but those are the core ones that we're trying to produce now, is the Ignites Journal series. So that if they go there, they can find this. They can find us, Generation Youth, on social media as well. That's if they just type that in, either Facebook or Instagram. Those are the 2 primary places that our organization lives.
Yeah.
In the social world, you have to pick and choose. You can't do them all. Those are the
I
things
know
we
it's
live
too
in.
much, but you
Yeah.
know, finding where the moms are, and then where the teen, finding where your audience is important. So that's great. That's probably where everybody finds you. So
Yes.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, James. I so appreciate the time, the conversation, the knowledge, the content, everything that you shared. It feels so. I think just it feels hopeful for me. It feels
Thank
uplifting.
you.
It feels positive. It feels like we can do this, right? Because so many of us are so worried or concerned about this, all the generations that are coming and have, still to come, about what this world is kind of putting in their lap as far as pressures and anxiety and
Yeah.
stress and overwhelm and competition and things to deal with. And I just love how you've created your system and done the research and figure out what works, what's successful. And so again, it's amazing. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for being a guest on our show. And I look forward
Yeah.
to continued collaboration in the future.
Absolutely. Sounds great.